For a long time, the US dollar has been considerably overbought in the currency market. The US currency went on all trading instruments across the market. In the case of the euro, investors even ignored sell signals because the US dollar had already pushed the European currency down to the yearly low. Now the euro-dollar pair needs a correction to ease the tension. And today the reason for that correction appeared. The ADP employment data from the US did not meet the optimistic expectations and gave the start for a corrective decline in the US dollar. Notably, the ADP employment data precedes the official US Department of Labor report, which we'll talk about next. And you are watching InstaForex TV channel. On Thursday morning markets, we'll assess the Australian Bureau of Statistics report on the trade balance, and last month the indicator posted a significant decline due to 2% drop in exports, and the August figures are expected to show a slight rebound as the Chinese economy, Australia's main trading partner, remains depressed. The crippling Chinese economy also affects Germany's trade balance. The driver of the European Union economy is one of the export-oriented countries. Thus, it's very important to monitor how the ratio of exports and imports is changing when projecting the future of the German economy. The export volumes are expected to remain at minus 0.4%. In such conditions, the investment attractiveness of the single European currency is likely to weaken again. During the US trading session on Thursday, traders will turn their attention to the Canadian economy and digest data from experts at the IVEY Business School. The IVEY PMI showed a strong rebound in August, indicating that economic activity is perking up after a slight decline in July. Economists attributed the rebound to the fact that the country's economy managed to add more jobs. In September, the business activity indicator is expected to remain in the expansion area, but remained at a lower level compared to August. Canada is expected to release modest figures on the employment change. Most likely, the Canadian economy added 28,000 jobs in September. However, economists consider this figure strong for the Canadian economy. This indicator may signal that the economy is able to withstand another rate hike by the Bank of Canada. As a result, the Canadian dollar is likely to recover by the end of this trading week. However, investors will keep a close eye on the news from the United States at the end of the week. Given the extremely low growth in a number of private sector employees registered by ADP experts, the markets are bracing for a disappointing report from the US Department of Labor. The forecast suggests an increase of only 168,000. However, the figure is likely to be less than expected. Notably, investors closely monitor the labor market statistics as the Fed uses this data when making interest rate decisions. If the labor market shows signs of weakness, the Fed may refrain from rate hikes, especially given the current slowdown in inflation. This means that all statements by Fed officials about the intention to raise rates again this year may be forgotten. Against this backdrop, the US dollar is highly likely to decline across the board. We will monitor the market reaction to the above-mentioned reports. Subscribe to our channel and follow changes in market sentiment with us. Any comments, questions and offers are welcomed. We wish you profitable trading and see you soon.